something that I was talking to Ian Curlis about that we didn't film the podcast. How different it is to be alive today. And I touched on it with Jana's movie. Jana's movie, we went to high school with Jana, and it's about being in high school in the modern times with cell phones and like Snapchat and pictures and all the stuff that can happen with that. For your children, are you going to try to keep them from like having a cell phone in their hand every day, using those things? I personally am for it. I think that's the way the world's going, and they should be on top of it. But the thing that I talked about with Ian was when my brother and I were little, when the JCPenney catalogs would come in the mail, we'd be excited to like go outside and sneak behind my dad's shed and look at the girls in the lingerie, right? And that was like what was bad for us, was to see women in lingerie in a JCPenney catalog.
And how innocent that seems now.
Yeah. So if you're a 4 or 5 year old now and you got an iPad and mom and dad are in the kitchen, you know some of the stuff you can Google and see instantly. So as a parent, because I don't have kids yet, so I'm asking you as one of my friends that has them, what are you going to do? Because you can't really police it. Even if you wanted to stop them, Ben, they're going to see it. So
there's no way to there's no way to prevent them from engaging with different forms of technology. And like you said, I think there are some super positives. Like our 5-year-old and 3-year-old now can navigate their way around an iPhone. They can figure out how to find stations on the TV. They're doing these games on computers that we had when we were young, but they were a much more simple version of even games today. But they learn a lot of literacy and numbers and facts about the world, and that's all really positive. What I worry about more, and I worry about this with myself too, and people older than us, is just this seismic shift that's happened with how our brains work being on these devices all the time. Because you don't need to think the same way. Not only do you not need to think critically about things because you can just Google things. People are also thinking all the time about how is this going to be perceived on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, whatever else. And people are living experiences almost like vicariously through their social media presence to just see how is this going to play on social media. People are not just thinking for themselves without needing to then immediately express that thought on social media. And that's in the history of humanity, that's a seismic shift that we're going through just in the last 20 years since all this stuff started to become more prevalent. And that worries me a lot because I feel like my brain sometimes is falling apart because of just the different, I'm not working my mind in the same way that I used to. And I don't like it. And it is a million conveniences and so many special things. And we can have this conversation and many people can listen to it because of all this technology. But at what cost to our human development through all these changes?
I don't know who said this quote, but it's the comparison is a thief of joy quote. And I can't agree with that anymore. Like that is... Anytime I'm sad lately, it's because I'm looking at somebody's Instagram going, oh man, like they're in Mexico doing this cool thing and that's so amazing, which can be good if it motivates you, right? And gets you to do better things with your life. But most time it doesn't. Most time people just look at that stuff and they're like look what Ben's doing. Ben's mayor. I can't believe Ben's mayor and I'm home watching Netflix, and it's when, like you said, in human history, there was always that kind of high school mentality, whether in high school, college, comparing yourself to your peers. But then eventually you'd graduate from that and get in the real world, and that was the end. Now, like you said, even my own grandmother's on Facebook. And I don't know if she's comparing herself to her friends, but I'm sure she is. Like, oh, she gets to go out more often than I go out, or she's hanging out with her grandkids more often. It's the same thing.
How could you not? There's lots of studies out there, and especially with older people, actually, that correlate depression with the amount of time you spend on Facebook. And the more you scroll through... I feel the same way at night when I should actually be going to sleep, or let alone reading a book or something, like something substantive. I just scroll through Facebook and then you feel like an erosion somehow in your spirit. It can be depressing.
So what we're saying, if you're listening to this podcast, turn it off immediately. No, I don't mean to vilify technology. Obviously, it's amazing, and this is the next step in human evolution, and it needs to happen, and we can't stop. Even if you and I hated it, and we're like, no. Once again, it's going to happen. Your kids are going to have an iPhone, or whatever's coming next. But it literally will rewire your brain. We're talking about math class, right? I don't think I can do math anymore because I just use my phone every time. Like if I had to stop and be like 8 times 8 plus 32, I'd be like, what? So
I feel the same way, and I don't know how you get around that because it's so ubiquitous throughout society now. I mean, our oldest is 5 years old and he's not on social media or anything, but he can get it. I feel like he can get attached to screens really easily with it. With the flip side of that is my whole political base image has been so cultivated through Facebook, especially. I've got a great Facebook page, and the people I engage with on there who follow my page, I love them, and I get good feedback and support and suggestions. But I've been able to grow my image and my name recognition through, I think, effective social media.
Yeah.
And I've also been able to use it, probably more importantly, to keep people informed about what's going on and to give updates that people need to know. So, I mean, I am super pro social media. I don't want that to be confusing, but I do wonder what is happening to our brains.
Well, also, even if it is just an addiction, right? It's probably one of the best addictions you can have. Like, at least you and I aren't shooting heroin in the back
worse
alley.
Things,
you know, like if you and I are in bed, scrolling through our Instagram at 2 in the morning, so be it.
But they say there's that little dopamine rush that is similar from getting likes and comments and shares.
You know, sometimes if you're scrolling, this is going to make me sound awful, but if you scroll for long enough, you run out, right? Facebook's like, refresh your feed, and I will sometimes just keep refreshing it and seeing the same memes over and over again. I'm like, okay, Chaz, you've been seeing this for 10 minutes. You know there's nothing new. It's 4 in the morning. None of your friends have posted anything. Go to bed.
Facebook should put a go to bed notice at the bottom of the feed.
They did release something, and I haven't looked at it yet, but I think it's an app that gets added to your phone that'll tell you how much screen time you've used. I don't know if that was Apple or Facebook.
I have that on my iPhone now. It came with the latest update, and I hate it because every single Sunday morning I hit an update, and it's like such and such amount of time down or up 22% from last week, and I just think, oh my god, this is terrible.
It's the same feeling I get when you're watching Netflix, and it's like, are you still watching? And that's their way of saying, you've seen like 4 hours worth of television. Are you alive still? Have you passed out on your couch? Yeah. But once again, there's no stopping it. I think, and I'll go on record saying this too, if they could implant internet in my brain, I'd do it.
Yeah.
You know, I think ultimately we're headed in that direction. I don't want to say cyborg, but something along those lines.
Yeah, your brain will be meshed with the technology.
I'm wearing contacts. You've got glasses on your face. We're using technology right now.
Yeah.
Like, granted, this is an older form of a watch, but I've also got the watch in my pocket now. Like, Google has made us almost cyborgs in a way.
Yeah. Well, the technology, it does this to us because we're all human beings, and we're subject to whether it's temptation or greed or jealousy, and it would play out those very human emotions through our interactions with technology. So until humans become perfect, which is never going to happen, the technology is always going to enhance the good in us, but also the bad in us as well. And I don't know. It's just never going to change. The technology, the kids growing up now will never have known a period. Like you and I at least remember a time before logging into AOL and having the modem scratching sound and having to walk across the floor to actually answer a phone that's attached to a cord on the wall. And all the kids after us that aren't going to have remember that or experience that.
You know what's funny about that too is when the movie The Matrix came out, it blew my mind, right? To think about that concept of maybe we're in a video game, so to speak, or whatever, because we knew life before that. If you're born now and all you've ever known is this, I can't even imagine how they view reality. They must think that this is just one dimension out of many, which maybe it is.
Yeah,
you know?
But I mean, you can be in touch with virtually any person you've ever met, though, instantly.
Yeah, how weird is that?
Yeah, any person from any context in your life, high school, college, work, travel, anybody you've ever met and had a relationship with in any form, you can send a message to them right now. Yeah. That's the only time in human history that's ever been possible.
I haven't started doing it yet because you're only the third guest, which, by the way, to rewind, I should have had Ben be the first guest because the first podcast I ever went on was Ben's podcast, the main show, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so we wanted to plug that for you. Go check out Ben's podcast. If you like what he's saying now, he's got over 150 episodes.
Yeah, like 120 or so. Yeah.
So I was going to say, I haven't started doing it yet because this is just the third episode. But I was going to try to do a live stream of these conversations. So think about that somebody can sit and listen to us live as we're having this. Yeah. Right? Like when I was a little kid, if I wanted to go see John Gillis, I had to get on my bike and ride to his house. Yeah. Or pick up and call his mom and say, hey, is John there? I'm going to be there in 15 minutes. Make sure he's there.
Yeah. You know? And that is an earthquake for traditional media because one of the big changes since I started in city council, when I started in 2011, almost every meeting we had, at least one or two of the local TV stations was there. The BDN was there. We had this other little hometown paper that was also there. Yeah. Now we have a lot of meetings that no media even covers because the metrics and the dollars of media have changed so much. Yeah. But at the same time, I can use Facebook to basically create my own media channel with it. Yeah. Certainly through podcasting, but I can do a Facebook Live video and just talk about what we're working on in City Council. Yeah. And it's basically a local news report.
I'm not going to lie, I felt bad for you when you first got elected because I was like, wow, Ben's elected in the age of social media. So I would see people posting things on your wall and tagging you and things, and I myself did it too. And one day I was like, oh, I should probably stop publicly tagging Ben because he's probably at home with his wife looking and going, why is Chaz tagging me in this thing about Bangor that he wants
No,
fixed? Like,
it's okay.
That must happen to you, right? With people just barraging you with like, you're on city council, fix this for me.
Yeah. It happens a lot, and I don't really mind because I think I have enough boundaries that if I am truly home and don't want to be interrupted, I'm still generally pretty good at not engaging with it. I mean, there's definitely times when the kids are in the bath and I'm giving them a few minutes, I'll like look at my phone and just see what's going on, and I hate that because I want to be fully engaged with them at all times when I'm home. But people reach out about stuff all the time, and I generally like it because people, for the most part, 9 out of 10 times, people are pretty respectful. Especially with local stuff. I feel like, having done it for a while now, a lot of people know me and they know that I'm trying my best, as we all are in the city council, and there's no reason to really be antagonistic towards me because I'm gonna try my best. I'm gonna try to engage with you positively.
But you definitely must get some trolls that are just like, screw you, Ben. Like, have you had to block people on Facebook?
I don't think I've muted some people. I don't block people from reaching out to me, but there's a handful of people that I just have on mute so I don't see their updates because it makes me anxious or angry, or it's just, I don't know, not sparking joy, as they say.
The doing what you do is a bureaucracy, and people forget that. Like, you can't just, for instance, the shopping cart thing I was joking about earlier, that took almost a year for something to happen. And people instantly think, well, I've got this problem, I'm going to go email Ben, it should be taken care of next week. And they don't realize there's hoops to jump through and people to talk to and things to do. So I'm impressed you can do that. That's probably one of the number one reasons I don't run for public office, is like, I don't want to be answered. I don't want to be at the bar and have Bob and Sue come over and say, Chaz, you need to fix the pothole in front of my house. Like,
but when you do get it fixed, and a pothole is a good example because Public Works in Bangor does fill those pretty fast once the request is made. I know people right now are pissed about the potholes all over the city, and I get it's been a bad winter and early spring for potholes so far.
You just watched a segment of the show Chasms of the Mind. To see the full episode, click the link below.